Alright, how's it going, guys? Blake Magic here. Nice to see you. It's been a couple days, I think. I don't know. We'll see whenever I upload this. I don't know what to tell you, but like, as you can see, that's 2K. I'm a 2K head. I don't even know. Is that what you call? I'm a 2K fiend. I'm a 2K sucker. How about that? Cause I fall for that. I fall for that bullshit all the time. But how you doing, guys? Today is not going to be like one of our usual videos where I'm playing Call of Duty or I'm playing Smite. And granted, I love Smite, but Smite low-key kind of dead. Today we're going to be talking about the news that dropped Tuesday and Wednesday. 2K, they dropped the gameplay trailer, they dropped a blog post, and Mike Wang has been on Twitter replying to like almost everybody's questions. Which you already know what that means. That means like if he's replying, that means like this might be actually be a good game. Because on 21, he went dark. The entire dev team went dark. 20, he talked in the first month. He didn't talk before the game. He talked in the first month, and then the whole dev team went dark. So this year, he's like, I don't know. He seems enthusiastic. I feel like he wasn't happy with the last 2 months. So today's video is going to be some 2K focused content. Over the past 2 days, 2K has been doing what they usually do come September, and they're dropping info. Unlike last year when Mike decided to go 0 dark 30 on us when 21 turned out to be ass, he's hitting us with all the info that he usually does every other year. But before we get into that, let's talk about this image on screen right now. I know you likely seen this already. I know I'm a little late to the party. This came to us by way of 2K Insider on Twitter, giving us a rundown of the badges mentioned in the blog post 2K uploaded on Tuesday that no one read, including me. So let's start off with the shooting badges. First badge we got is Limitless Spot Up, aka the Logo Loader badge. Now this badge seems like a change to the Deep 3 badges in the last 2K or Limitless Range and other 2Ks, but more specifically focused on shooting deep off a catch and shoot situation. So something more akin to a Killer Klay Thompson badge from deep. Skipping lucky number 7 and mismatch expert, let's talk about Chef, which is obviously named after Steph Curry. The ability to knock down Steph-like off-dribble deep threes. This badge will definitely be a must-have if you're an ISO player who likes to pull from deep off the dribble. Me, I plan on making a playmaking slash and big of some sort. That's what I do every year. I've done this since 2K18. That hasn't failed me yet, to be honest. But having Limitless Spot Up would definitely help with whatever team comp me and my friends would be running if we end up getting a game this year. I mean, I know I'm gonna get it so I can put out content for you guys, but my friends are kind of on the fence. So we'll see what happens there. So here's a question Mike Wang answered pertaining to those 2 badges. Stage God asks if deep threes are removed, what's going to replace it? Mike Wang basically says what I just explained, that they went the route of splitting that badge into 2 separate badges, and I think to give more ability for a person to have their players specialize in one or the other. Hardest Drips question, you see that, was about the intricate details surrounding when the badge would be triggered or activated, and Mr. Mike comes in clutch again and gives us specifically under what conditions the badge will trigger. First off, you have to have been moving long enough before the shot, quick stop, and shoot a set shot. When asked exactly how long is long enough, Mike says here that you have to be at least 30 feet from the basket, with roughly 2 or more seconds after you first catch the ball, be moving for at least half a second to take the shot while you're moving. If you stop before that, you have a 1 second window to get your shot off. That means that if you catch the ball in transition, you should be able to shoot after around 2 seconds. I think he didn't give us a specific number here because the window is probably iffy depending on all the variables like a person's connection, etc. Here he gives us more details. Chef definitely does not work for fades at all, which is kind of weird, but I get it. Like, Steph doesn't shoot fading threes from dumb far. He shoots moving shots off the screen, but he sets up for a second before he lets the shot off. It seems more natural of a movement as opposed to just having guys shooting faded threes from half court. So I'm a big fan of this change, most definitely. Next badge from the shooter section is lucky number 7. There were no additional tweets about it exactly, but it seems pretty straightforward here in this description. It just boosts your shot early in the clock. Whether or not that means all shot clocks, meaning the 24-second one as well as the 14-second clock after an offensive rebound, will have to be found out once the game comes out. The next badge, Mismatch Expert, seems like a mix between Giant Slayer and Pick and Popper maybe. I could be reaching on that last one. The description reads, the ability to shoot over taller defenders on the switch. Now something I was thinking about was what signifies the switch to 2K. Does it have to be off a ball screen, or can you just force a matchup switch? And depending on the arrow, that's what signifies it. Mark responded to a question about it. He says it doesn't have to be a matchup switch, which makes that confusing already. He says here that it takes effect anytime you're undersized against your defender, similar to Giant Slayer. So does that mean this is a Giant Slayer badge that just works anywhere on the court when you're attempting a shot? One of the things that might give us more information on was the sniper badge. It's not listed here, but he does touch on it. The way the sniper badge works now is it modifies the impact of shot timing. It gives you an extra boost for well-timed shots and an extra penalty for poorly timed shots. Basically, the opposite of flexible release, which is a terrible badge in my opinion. Power X Mike for more clarification on what classifies as a well-timed shot, whether that means slightly late or slightly early. Mike responds, if you cut the make window into 4 equal pieces, the 2 outer pieces being early, late, get an extra penalty. The 2 inner pieces being slightly early or slightly late get an extra bonus. And of course, excellent is a guaranteed make. And very early or very late is a guaranteed miss, obviously. They also removed the badge's flexible release as well as steady shooter from the game. Both changes that I know the majority of the community will agree with. Someone asked Mike about floaters this year, and from the looks of it, they're putting a good deal of emphasis into how floaters work and scoring in the mid-range in general. I feel like that area of 2K has always been lacking, and I hope to actually see that change come through. One of the major things that me and a friend of mine hated about 2K21 the most was how the timing of your jump shots would change ever so slightly every time you shoot. Now we thought this was based on a catch animation, like if you catch it where your guy shoots it differently, but from what Mike is saying here, the thing that played a major role in that was more so where you shot from. And I feel like that system makes sense, don't get me wrong, but in 21 it felt like it was way too sensitive, and I know this was a way for them to beat Zens and curb the whole cheating thing, but it made the game very unenjoyable for me at least. That's it for shooting badges that we know so far. Now onto the interior badge. More than likely all the ones that I'm going to use. First off, we have fast twitch, the ability to get off the floor quicker, standing layups and dunks. This move is going to be very effective for the post scorers, that's for sure. I feel 2K has started to put more emphasis on their post players, but they have yet to entirely flesh it out. Like, I want to see people who are really good post players do like some crazy footwork in a post to get a shot off after Kobe. There isn't much else to say about the badge. It's going to be super effective if you have the strength stat to back it up. If you don't put points on your strength stat, I already know this badge is going to be useless for you. Next up is Grace Under Pressure. The ability to convert standing layups more effectively. This badge is another one that's pretty self-explanatory. I know from experience with 2K, just because something says it only works for standing layups doesn't mean it only works for standing layups. This badge comboed with fast twitch will be a deadly combo. Something 2K has failed to do is increase the paint presence of defensive players. Each year it feels like it gets worse and worse. Like 2K21 being a prime example of that. I couldn't tell you the number of times on my pure lock I had the smallest guy just laying up over my head, and like it's very disheartening. I high-key put the game down back in January and I haven't played it since, with this being one of the main reasons. Limitless Takeoff seems like it's going to be my second favorite badge though, no cap. The ability to soar from further away on driving dunk attempt. Now, tell me that doesn't sound wonderful. Like, we about to be out here soaring through the air from the free throw line like MJ, or more so Zach LaVine, because that nigga, he got hops. Definitely going to be a very effective badge that most people are going to have. Next up is Mouse in the House. This badge right here, without a doubt, is so far my favorite badge. Every big is going to have this badge, that's for sure. The ability for bigs to finish over shorter players more efficiently. That sounds great, right? Yeah, because like I swear, man, it's a whole problem. And I don't know what it is with the little ones that be on the court, but I swear the smaller your character is, the bigger the force field they give you, like a protective layer in the air above your head so you don't get dunked on or something. And it's wild to me. It don't make no sense. Like, if you little, let that little nigga get his head dunked on. You know what I mean? The next badge we have is Unstrippable, the ability to secure the ball better when gathering for a layup or dunk in traffic. I already know I'm gonna love this badge too. It'll make it safer for me to do my signature Giannis Euro step, and I already know that's gonna be fire. Every one of these badges so far I can definitely see working very well together, but the word that makes me worried that we'll have another year where the paint is almost wide open or way too hard to score in. Like, what's going to make or break it is how they do with the defensive badges. Something 2K has implemented this year was a new dunk system, actually, that's similar to the regular shot meter that we've grown used to. I may give some more details regarding it. It's called the aggressive skill dunk system. So it's like the shot meter to where you have to time your dunks, but you have to aim for the middle of the bar. I feel like with this system, we'll have the similar problem where the movement on the bar wasn't consistent, which is weird because the speed shouldn't change since you're always scoring from the same range technically. And he says here, if you get the perfect timing window, you'll always make it, which I feel is only when you're wide open, of course, but what about contested? If you green your dunk while contested, does it still go in? What type of impact do defensive edges have to make this window? These are the questions we need the answers to, you know what I mean? Hey, this feature is mandatory, so we gotta get used to it. But it only activates if you hold the right stick down while driving to the basket. Otherwise, you can dunk normally by pressing X on Xbox, square on PlayStation, or moving the stick in the other directions to get the other animations like usual. Someone asked him if this affects your ability to still get contact dunks. His response was, you can still get contact dunks without using the aggressive skill dunk feature, but they're a lot more rare. It's new gen only, by the way. Let you know. He later explains in more detail that the new system allows you to get dunks in situations where you would otherwise finish with a layup. Like, let's say, for example, there's two people in the paint, and normally that'd be a layup if you tried it, a bad layup, but a layup nonetheless. And if you use this new aggressive dunk skill in that situation, you have more strength and vertical than both of them. I think if you get your timing right, you're getting a contact dunk on two people. That means a double body, you know what I mean? A double homicide. That's just speculation though, so like, don't listen to me, take that with a grain of salt. On a final note, we get freaking dunk landings. I'm doing superhero landings all year. All year I'm doing superhero landings. I can tell you that right now. I swear to God. Or some backflip jumps. I'm doing something, bro, because that just sounds lit to me. I've wanted that for so long. Alright, more on dunking. They removed the cheesy spin dunk from the 3-point line that happened in 21. Very trash, very corny. I don't know why that was in the game for as long as it was. You still have the ability to see the dunk meter if you turn your shot meter off. Postarize is making a comeback this year. It boosts your contact dunks overall, but even more so when using the aggressive skill dunk feature. And dunk landings are going to be in both current gen and next gen, but the aggressive skill feature only applies to next gen. So that means Series X and PS5 get the aggressive skill feature, current gen does not. The aggressive skill dunk feature also applies to your standing dunks. Mike says they would be quicker and harder to time, so it's probably best to just stick with the shot button or different pro stick directions. But if you do, you can boost your make percentage with the right stick down, so there's a risk reward there. Alright, enough about dunking, now let's go to the playmaking badges. First playmaking badge we have here is glue hands, the ability to make difficult catches and quicker branch out to shot or dribble. I'm a huge fan of playmaking personally. I just study the playmaking moves every year so that I can know how to guard against them because I'm a defensive oriented person. You'll never catch me out in the park snatching ankles. Like, that'll never be a thing, to be honest. I'm not even gonna cap about that. So the way to determine what classifies as a difficult pass this year is by lane openness, as well as the coverage of the passer and the coverage of the receiver. As usual, your ball handle rating is very important with something like this. It's what will determine if this badge is useful or not to you. With glue hands, you get less situations where your player is leaning/fumbling to catch the ball, and it allows you to branch out much quicker. Next badge that we have is Hyperdrive. It says here that it boosts the speed and effectiveness of moving dribble moves. It's pretty straightforward what to expect when it comes with this badge, but according to Mike, it strictly only affects your dribble moves and not your overall speed with the ball. So like this badge is not going to be like a quick first step or like a downhill badge in previous 2Ks. Will we have those badges, something like that? Maybe, but for right now we don't know. Alright, the next badge we have is Quick Chain. It gives you the ability to chain together dribble moves faster. There's nothing more to say. That's it. Post Playmaker boosts the effectiveness of both shots and moving shots when playing in the post. This is what we need more of. Let the post players have fun playing in the post. That should be as fun as like being a dribble guy. Like, those should be neck and neck. The next badge we have is Triple Threat Juke. It increases the effectiveness of triple threat fakes, jabs, and go moves. I'm super excited for this badge. It feels like it's one we've needed for a long time. I always used to do my moves off the triple threat, and they used to work out very well for me because people don't know the technique of like the triple threat moves. Like in 20, it was super trash, and it was even worse in 21. You couldn't effectively do anything off the triple threat in those games, and like it didn't really give you any it didn't really give you any level of skill when it came to like, all right, jab step, do this and that. It wasn't fun to me. 19 did a great job with that though. I was a big fan of it. Now to go into detail on some of the dribble aspects of the game, Mike will reply to questions about. First up, we have this question here about the different types of signature size ups. Air Samurai asks, can you explain what size ups are and how to activate them? It seems to be very different from years past. Mike responded saying there are two main size ups. Signature size ups are what you get when you flick the right stick in any direction from a stand. They're like last year's basic size up but have a signature look and feel. Signature combos are mini movies that play out by themselves when you hold sprint and flick the right stick up. So all that means is that we're getting a little bit of an expansion on how they work, but ultimately to me it just sounds like they're bringing back the way it worked in 2K19. Which was the best one in my opinion, because everybody could do them and they were effective for everybody. Like I would do John Wall's signature size up as a big and only catch the dumbest people if they thought it was a real move. Like, cause he does like a sham god, but like in place, and I don't know, people are stupid. More on size ups at launch. Mike says that there will be 20 options to start with, which is a great change from last year where I think we had only 12 in total. Don't quote me on that, I didn't really play the game. And we get 4 new ones that will be added each season for a total of 52. Meaning that in total, we will be having 8 seasons this year. Meaning that we're having like 8 seasons, 8 battle passes with 8 prizes and rewards and stuff like that. My hope is that this brings a fresh new feel to the overall game. Like, it doesn't feel stale after like the 3rd, 4th season. It's like, alright, I don't care anymore. The 3-point recognition feature will be making a comeback this year, meaning that if your guy has his foot on the line when he's about to shoot, he'll move behind the 3-point line in order to attempt a 3. Like, I've always been happy with this feature, so no complaints from me, and I know everybody in the community is happy with this also, unless you like to shoot long middies like a weirdo. Next up, Mike confirms that we do indeed still have the same height cutoff for jump shots, which at first I thought was dumb, but then I remembered back in 2K19 where you could have a max height pure stretch with a Russell Westbrook base and jump so freaking high, like no one could block it or probably contest a shot until they nerfed that shot completely. It was really unstoppable. If anything, I think they should boost the height limit to at least 6'10", at the least. That feels more ideal to me, especially with the way the league is nowadays. Someone asked a very useful question about shooting. Yeah, Dio2K asks, how's the shooting function? Is it easy to hit threes with very low 3, like 20, or is it like 21, or is it in the middle? Mike responded saying, I'm hesitant to say what 3-point rating you will need to be consistent because it's going to vary from player to player based on how good they are with shot timing. It's definitely easier to hit threes with a lower rating than 22 though. I think he might mean to put 21, I don't know. I'd probably say it's closer to 20 or in between. Now this is a very good thing to hear, from me at least. It means I don't have to put too much emphasis into making sure my player has a high shot rating. I just need to focus on my ability to time my shots correctly, which I feel like that's how it should be. Like 2K17, that's how it was. Everybody could shoot, but you can only shoot if you were good at shooting. So it didn't matter. You could have a 99-3. If you was ass at releasing that ball, you was not making it, Joe. I don't like that. To a degree though, I don't like that 100% because you still need to have some. The stats need to mean something. They have to carry some kind of weight. Chad Marr asks Mike if they are continuing the current trend of having height requirements for specific dribble moves, and Mike confirms with a yes, simply stating that they look weird on bigger players. Now, I don't disagree with this entirely, but I do think that they should do what they did in 2K18 and just have bigger players do the same dribble moves but a lot slower based on their ball handle stat. That idea made more sense to me overall, and it gave me one of my favorite players to date in 2K18. Now, one of the main questions about dribbling that everybody is dying to know is that what ball handles and do you gain the ability to access the pro dribble moves? And just like in previous 2Ks, that number is going to be 85. Mike gave more clarification on how the tier system will be laid out for dribble moves this year. The main benefit for going above 85 is that your moves will be faster and more effective, of course. And he says right here, there are still 3 general tiers, 60 and under, 60 to 84, and then 85 plus. But there are different signatures that can be unlocked at varying other ratings like 65, 70, 75, and 80. So we won't figure those out entirely until we get the game in our hands. Now my one mans will be the most hurt by this, but they removed park handles from the game this year. At least for now. Mike says here that there will be no park handles until he can come up with a better way to do them without interfering with the core dribble moves of the game. I've never been a fan of them myself, but I did enjoy them to some degree in 2K19 because I could only do them once I activated my double takeover. It made my big ass feel like I was a whole guard coming down the court. And then someone asked Mike about timing for alley-oops. Some years this timing is very easy, other years it's stupid hard. Mike says here that the meter pops up while the pass is in the air. If you press the shot button too early, you'll miss the catch completely. If you stop inside the window, you'll make the shot or at least have a good chance to. If you don't press the button at all, you'll catch it and come back down with it. Now, this is good to hear that we have a visual aid to accompany us when we're attempting to catch lobs. I feel this is the perfect system to make double oops more doable on a more consistent basis. So I'm really happy and I'm excited to hear this. Alright, so let's start to wrap up this video because I know it's running long. So what we know so far when it comes to defense, the first badge we got is called Ball Stripper. The ability to strip, layup, and dunk attempts more effectively. Another one of those self-explanatory badges. I don't think we need to go into more detail about what that one does. Hustler, the ability to get to those scrappy 50-50 balls quicker than opponents. Great badge to help with those loose ball situations. I think there was a badge in 2K19 that served the same purpose. It was called Glue Hands and it made it easier to make difficult catches and help in 50-50 situations. Lastly, we have the Menace badge. This badge already sounds like I'm gonna be a menace with this badge. It significantly drops the offensive ratings of opponents when you smother them. I'm going to be using this badge heavily because I love to play defense up close. My goal is to smother the ball handler with hard press defense to force them to either pick up the ball or force up a bad shot or pass. That's my goal every time I'm playing defense. Because I know if I force them to make a bad pass, my man Mike, my man Keys, my man Oliver, they going to scoop that up every single time. I ain't gotta worry about it. Mike gave us more detail on the Menace badge and defense as a whole. Playboy Dono asks, is there a certain amount of attribute points taken? If the defender has the Menace badge, is it based off tier of the badge? That was a weird way to word it. Mike says that yes, the higher the tier, the more attributes are hit. Someone else asks, are better steal animations unlocked after a certain threshold is met for steal rating? Mike gave a great response, saying that in new gen, yes, the steal rating is much more important for steal success this year. This is something I'm definitely going to keep in mind when creating my player this year. I can tell you that with no doubt. I'm gonna have to put a couple points in the steal because I like being block party or just defense oriented with a little bit of slash and a little bit of shooting and a splash of passing. Now, someone here asked Mike for more details regarding rim protection and the badges that help with that. This year we get the same badges that we always had, Intimidator and Rim Protector being the two main badges for rim protection. Mike then says the best thing he could have said, paint defense is probably in my top 5 2K22 upgrades this year. Blocking is miles better than it has been in the past. Now if this is what I think it is, locks are going to be god tier, so I'm definitely making somewhat of a slashing playmaker with a lot of focus on interior defense and blocking. Because I'm not trying to get clamped up by a lock. I don't want that to happen. His answer to this question from Drexa is something I never considered. Drexa asks, so for paint shot contest, is it only the blocking attribute like last year's next gen? Or will it be a combination of interior defense and blocking attributes? Mike responded, for contests, we use interior defense in the paint and perimeter defense outside this year. The block rating will determine how frequently you actually make contact with the ball. This is great news, to be honest. It made no sense to me last year how bad interior defense was. The stat itself didn't even matter in the slightest bit, and there was just way too much emphasis on blocking and not enough on actual defense. The whole defensive aspect of the whole thing. And in the long run, it doesn't make any sense since defense is what blocking is. But it's whatever. Alright, so that's all the tweets we got from Mike over the past 2 days. All of them were when they appeared. This year might be a good one. 2K usually gets it right the second time around, historically speaking. That's how it was for 2K13, which was trash, but then they got it right with 2K14. Same thing with 18, they got it right with 19. And 20 and 21, I feel like the pandemic really hurt 21. To this day, it still feels like a rushed game overall, but like this year is going to be a good year, that's for sure. Leave a like, comment what's your favorite 2K, and do you think this year is going to be a banger? Subscribe if you want to hear more of my gravelly voice, and hit the bell to stay notified. You already know. I hope you enjoyed, and I love all y'all. Appreciate you.